So we are more or less at the end of what Narad speaks about the task of the world Redeemer. We will quickly see a few last sentences, what he is driving at, and then go to the next section. The world Redeemer's task. He must enter the world's dark to bring their light. Well, it's sort of obvious. Otherwise, if it is not entered there, how can it bring light there? It is not that from elsewhere you shine the torch and the cave becomes bright. It is not that. You have to go into the cave itself and then light the fire, bring the light there. See. In other words, you have to become a part of the whole process. You must experience darkness. Then only the darkness can be redeemed. He must enter the world's dark to bring the light. In fact, that is what we saw also last time, no? When we read the mother's answer to a question, similar question. The heart of evil must be bared to his eyes. He must learn its cosmic dark necessity, its right and its dire roots in nature's soil. It's right, as if the dark necessity has a right to be, that it must exist. The dark necessity must exist for a certain purpose. That is what it means basically here. Its dire roots in nature's soil, that is obvious, where from all the darkness comes. But its right to exist, that is important. As if pain, it is a right to exist. Sorrow has a right to exist. Death has a right to exist. Suffering has a right to exist. All that we are talking, darkness has a right to exist. What it means basically is that we have to know the truth of ignorance. We have to know the truth of pain. We have to know the truth of suffering, of evil, of darkness. There is a truth behind darkness. The darkness itself is there because there is a certain truth which is allowing it to be there for a certain purpose or whatever it be. So, we have to know the truth of ignorance. We have to know the truth of pain. We have to know the truth of death. We have to know the truth of suffering and all that. Once we know that, then it is no more ignorance in that sense, you see. It is there for a certain purpose. What is the purpose? That it is true that things will happen in a certain manner. Things will happen in a certain manner. So it is a functional necessity in that sense. He says, dark necessity, it is a functional necessity. Why should darkness exist? Why should pain exist? There is a functional necessity for that. And it is that functional necessity one has to discover. He must know the thought that moves the demon act. Yes, all the Asuric forces are there. Why they do that? They are not doing it for nothing. In other words, in God's creation, there is nothing wrong, nothing meaningless, nothing worthless. Each has its own worth. Demon and justifies the Titan's erring pride. Why should the Titan be proud of himself? Why should he assert himself? Why should he challenge even God? That you have to know. Why Titan should challenge God? Why should he deceive God's creatures? There is a function for that deceive. And justify the Titan's erring pride and the falsehood lurking in us crooked dreams. He must enter the eternity of night. This is the terrible thing. He must enter the eternity of night. Unless he takes that thing on himself, he cannot understand night. If there is a functional necessity of night, that he can know only by identifying himself with night. Otherwise, how does he know night? And know God's darkness as he knows his sun. In other words, Narada is really putting darkness on a par with the sun. He is putting on a par darkness and sun. You cannot simply know, by knowing simply the sun, you have not really understood the nature of this creation. You have to also know darkness. By simply knowing bliss, you have not understood the nature of this creation. You have to also know the pain, the suffering. Knowledge, ignorance, they have to be understood. So that dark necessity is a very, and he says, of course, it's cosmic dark necessity. You see, that is the crucial phrase there, dark necessity, you see. He must enter the eternity of night. Now this is, of course, as I said last time, something more than the ordinary world redeemer. This is more than avataric. It's more than avataric, you see. Avatar, as we have seen last time, he comes for a certain purpose. In fact, the Gita says, I come from age to age with a decline of the dharma, with the decline of the values of right, of conduct. When that declines in the process of time, I take birth. But that is, in a certain sense, the immediate pretext of his coming. The avatar comes to carry the evolution forward, to take the evolution one more step ahead. And unless he experiences all these things, he cannot achieve that, you see. He must enter the eternity of night and know God's darkness as his sun. For this, he must go down into the pit. For this, he must invade the dolorous vast, the darkness vast. So every kind of darkness is vast, white. He says plural, vast, you see. Imperishable and wise and infinite, he still must travel hell, the world to save. He is imperishable. He is deathless. He is of course wise. When he puts on ignorance, it does not mean that he loses his wisdom. He remains always wise. But he puts on ignorance, he accepts ignorance again for a certain purpose. He accepts finiteness, limitation, although he is infinite. He still must travel hell, the world to save. In other words, hell also is a dark necessity. Hell is also a dark necessity in the whole context of the whole thing. Without experiencing this hell, this dark necessity, you would not really enjoy heaven. What it means is basically the joy of heaven, of paradise, is of a fixed kind. It does not grow, it does not expand, it does not flourish, it does not bring out newer and newer elements of the spirit's potentialities. It is typal world. Heaven is a typal world, fixed world of a certain fixed form. Now it is hell which can give a variation to things. Variation to things. And each element of the hell can bring out its own joy, its own happiness. He must still, therefore, hell is also functional necessity. Very same argument, you see. Into the eternal light. So, after experiencing that, what will happen? Into the eternal light, he shall emerge on borders of the meeting of all worlds. There, borders of all the world, hell, heaven, all that thing. Then he will know what this is for, what that is for, and understand the meaning of all those things. There, on the verge of nature's summit steps, the secret law of each thing is fulfilled. That is the purpose. The secret law of each thing is fulfilled. In other words, each individuality will find its distinctness, its uniqueness, its purpose. You are there, she is there, he is there, he is there, all that. Each one is a separate individual, has his own svabhava, his own soul, his own element to manifest in this creation. It is that then each thing gets fulfilled in that process. Otherwise it becomes a flat universe. You see, it doesn't have any form, structure, no variation like that. It becomes a flat, monotonous kind of a universe. It is not that. Each one has to express his own svabhava, his own character, his own innate nature, you see. And it is that which must come into expression, you see. All contraries heal their long dissidence. Obviously, when you have found yourself in the truth of your nature, it also means that you have also found others in the truth of their nature. If I had discovered what I am fully, then I know what he is for, what he is for, what she is for, what she is for. Each one then discovers that thing. And therefore there is no question of any conflict, any disharmony, any dissidence of that kind. Once you have discovered your own true svabhava and nature, because that svabhava and that true nature is not in conflict with other characters, other svabhavas, other natures. Each one has to express himself fully. To give a very crude example, we have 4 types of nature, and they are universal, and they are ageless. They have been there throughout the entire history of man. What we would call, by way of name, tags: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They are soul characters. They are soul characters. They are not in conflict with each other. They have a functional role to play, each one of them. Knowledge, that is my Brahmin. I am here. My strength, that is my Kshatriya. My love, harmony, sweetness, that is my exchange, mutuality. That is my Vaishyahood. Work, perfection, skill in all the activities, that is my Shudrahood. Now, it does not mean that if I am a person of knowledge, I need not be perfect. It is ridiculous. I must also have that thing. Similarly, if I had to really acquire perfection in my work, I should have knowledge. So the disharmony which is there, that doesn't exist at all, you see. And that is exactly what we have in that little book, The Mother, the four powers of the Mother, Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. They are four powers. And Sri Aurobindo says in that same booklet, unless these four powers work in their harmony in the cosmic functioning, the higher powers will not descend. The higher powers will not descend. They have to work in the cosmic harmony, all the four together. Now we have become exclusive. That I am a man of knowledge, I am a man of work, I am a man of commerce, I am a man of strength. This is what we are making it exclusive. It is not so. But once you have discovered the nature of each one, you will see that it is getting integrated with all the other activities. The four powers have to work together in that sense, you see. And in fact, the Gita also says that this Chaturvarna, as he calls it, these four powers, this Chaturvarna, I have established. Obviously, for the cosmic harmony, it is necessary. And in fact, in which era of mankind, in which place these four didn't exist? They have been there all along, always. They have been always there. Einstein was a Brahmin, a man of knowledge, in that sense, you see. Churchill was really a Kshatriya, man of strength, determination. Henry Ford was a man of commerce, you see. And all these ITs people nowadays, you see all that thing, they are Shudras, man of work, of skill, perfection. Bill Gates, if you like to call, he's a Shudra. Bill Gates, he's a Shudra. Perfection in work. That is the definition of the fourth verse. Saraswati, Mahasaraswati. Attention to details. All the engineering craft details, that is her province. See. Receive intuition, receive higher knowledge. That is the quality of a developed mental being. That is the Brahmin. Heroic strength, standing for nobility, asserting strength against all evil forces. That is the purpose of Kshatriyahood. So once you have discovered the true meaning of them, then all these conflicts disappear. They don't exist at all. Into the eternal light he shall emerge on borders of the meeting of all worlds. There, on the verge of nature's summit steps, the secret law of each thing is fulfilled. Each thing is fulfilled. That is the whole thing, you see. Each has a function and it cannot be specific. All contraries is a long distance. But see, only with the mind becoming the dominant instrument of our activity and functioning, we have created divisions, differences. That is the nature of mind. Break, analysis. Mind's function is analysis, analytic. Break, and go down to the. It has a certain utility again there also. I mean, you are a doctor, then you start asking a doctor, what kind of doctor you are? You are a cardiologist, you are a psychologist, you are, I mean, all those 100 questions are, then you say, no, I am an eye specialist. Then further then you ask me, you are an eye specialist of the left eye or the right eye. It goes on endlessly like that. It goes on like that. So that is necessary to go into the details of it because mind cannot immediately grasp the entire system. The rishis who knew Ayurveda, the science of life, they didn't go by analytic methods. They saw what the whole thing is and they worked out according to that. You see, yes, by simply looking at the herb, concentrating on the herb. They knew that what medical properties that herb has for our benefit. They didn't have pharmaceutical laboratories to work out the medical properties of these herbs and things like that. They identify. There are another method altogether. But now our civilization at the moment is so exclusive from the point of view of science, from the point of view of mental faculties. And that is necessary because the mental faculties have to be taken to their extreme possibility, fully developed. That is necessary also, a part of the full development. So it is being taken to the extreme. But now a time has to come that to be integrated with other faculties which we have. Beyond reason, beyond rational thought, beyond empiricism of science, there are domains of intuition. You can receive knowledge in a different way and see things differently altogether. You see. It is that which has to come. All contraries heal the long distance in disappear with that.